Hello, I'm Boneblox, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can use Using VFX to improve your lighting. I have all of them lined up here, and I'm going to go through each of them to explain what they are and how to use them. This one here, I'm not too sure how to pronounce, so I'm going to let the real Boneblox do it.
This is a vignette.
Thank you, Boneblox. Anyway, what we can do with this is put it on a neon part to help buffer out the light and make it feel more natural. I will show you an example of this now. Notice how it feels more dulled out. Let's just make a new one quickly, and we can move it over here. And in Explorer, we can remove the outline decals over it, and I'll show you what it looks like without it. So, as you can see, it is way too bright, and this is bloom in Roblox. It is how bright something is. This builder is created by Alpha Engineering, and I think he's done a great job when it comes to the lighting and the VFX usage. I am aware this is from the best creations video, but I liked it that much and bring it back as an example to showcase what I'm talking about in this video. As you can see, he's used the outline to enhance his lighting really well here. But anyway, let's move on to the next effect. This one is called Glow, and what it does is a bit ambiguous, but you can put it on a light and it will make it more volumetric. Push it out a bit more and give it more effect, and the only way I can really showcase this is by showing you, so I'm going to show you some examples now. See how this here, it makes the lighting look a little bit more 3D in a sense. There's a 3D glow around it, and you can change a few things to make it, you can really mess around with properties all you want. And there are some things you should or shouldn't do, but what you can do initially to make it look nice is just make everything uniform. And what I mean by uniform is make it so everything's all the same size and make it so it's all a continuous glow. So we have this here, and if we look in properties and we can go to the sizing, we can make it something that's a bit larger so it fits the actual like bowl of light around it, the point light that's around it. So it just looks like it's making the light look more 3D, which can help volumize the light. And what I mean by volumize is volumetric light can help make lighting more apparent and visible. And here we can see what it looks like if we remove and add it. Let's take a look at it inside of an actual game here. So here we have a map, and with this you can see the glow makes the tree more full, and I'll show you what it looks like without the glow in a second, but we can move it around and stuff, but it makes the trees look more like Genshin style or Hoyoverse style with Honkai. It just gives it more of a stylized look. Let's quickly move it around. You can see the glow as we move it. We can look over here, and the lights as well also have the same glow on it, and it helps just bring the lights to life. You can't bring it too close to your face, otherwise it'll clip through. It just makes it look lifelike, and it really helps bring it together. And before we continue, there are actually some cons about this lighting. If you move it around, it's not like it takes a second to reach it. It's like not a continuous flow of light, which can be problematic. But anyway, let's move on to our next one, which is actually called Flare. And what we can do with this is make it so that lights have more of a astigmatism look to them, more direct lighting, I guess. I would not recommend using this on too much. I'll show you why in just a moment, but it can get really overbearing. As you can see, we have our glow here, and we can add a flare to it, and it looks nice at first, but let's move it around. So say you have a bunch of lights next to each other. It looks okay from this angle, but you go here and they'll build up. And there are some ways you can counteract a lot of things with it, but everything has their ups and downs. So let's have a look at a few cons and pros on how to improve this. As you can see, if we move it over here and we start moving it around, it does the same thing the glow does, and it does not stick to a stable area. We can fix this. It is annoying to do. So let me speed this up a bit because it's a little tedious. So to explain my process, all I'm really doing is turning the particles into a beam, which instead of emitting a particle stays as a decal in the air sort of. And it is a bit more troublesome to deal with because you have to get all the stuff correct, and even then it still has its own problems. It really is just tiring at times to do, but if you want to make sure it moves around, this is the only way to do it. Otherwise, you can just put it on a decal and call it a day. But beams do have like light emission properties, and it makes it a lot easier to work with. As you can see, it's pretty much done here, and I've done a little bit of a lazy job. You will most likely get a better like outcome but I've just done it a bit lazily for this video. But you can see it is now almost, hold on. There we go. Okay. Oh, it's still a little bit too far down. We can move it down after. But let's move over here and we can bring it next to... Yeah, okay. We can move it over here next to this one, and it does look a little different. That's just because this one's a bit smaller. And the only differences are this one clips through the ground at times, while the other one doesn't. But that is enough for this effect. Let's move on to the next one. Beam. And what it does is it allows you to portray a beam of light in place of a spotlight. So you can make it so that the light visualizes where the spotlight goes. I'll show an example in just a second, but this is the only one that is not based on a particle emitter other than the first one, which is on a decal of a part. And I'll show you just how to set this up in just a second. So here we just have a plain part, nothing's been done with it, and I'm just going to get it set up for the size. So all you want to do is have a single part here, press add an attachment, and you can duplicate this, then add a beam. And what you want to do is, before doing anything, name your attachments as top and bottom. This isn't needed, but it will help you figure it out later on if you have a lot of beams. And then on your beam, well, you want to have the top up high. In your beam, to attachments, you want to have attachment 1 on top and attachment 2 on bottom. The order isn't really necessary, and I do switch them over later. And sometimes your attachments are on a 90-degree angle and you have to change them, otherwise it won't show. And here I'm just making sure it fits. There we go. And here you want to make sure everything's all set, and then in texture you can add your beam. And as you can see here, I had it upside down, so I'm just going to switch it over. There we go. And rename them. Easy as that. Bottom and top. There we go. And back into beam, we can change the texture length a bit. But first, there, so this is all correct here, and then there. So it tapers outwards to make it more beam of light looking. And the texture mode doesn't really matter. You want to change the texture speed to 0 so you can fit it in yourself, but make the texture length the same distance from top to bottom. So right here you can see it's 15, so I had that correct the first time. And the texture speed, you want to change it around a little to make sure it fits everything, and you want to make it go down a bit. So it's really just moving it up and down to make sure it fits your space. And the width is really up to you to change. It's just changing it to whatever you want. You also want to make sure your face camera is on. That is important. Otherwise, it will just face whichever way it is facing. And transparency, you want to do number sequence by pressing the 3 dots, which allows it to be transparent at the end and normal at the start. I am also just making it a little longer for me in a moment, because I want it to be longer. You can also do this if you want, but you will have to mess around with the sizing a little bit more. I'm also adding a spotlight, and you kind of want to taper it against the spotlight a little, so you can see the outline of the light. You can make it fit the outline, and we're pretty much done here. And you can see the spotlight is now spotting light, you know? It works. This is pretty good, and you've done a good job. End of this video, and I wanted to let you know that you've done a really good job. And I also want to let you know, you can use all of these in one. And I do have every single resource I use in my video in my description in the Discord server. Every single video I use in my server videos, everything's in there for free. All my resources, everything. We also have public resources. People can post whatever they want on there, their own things, and you can find those for free as well. But other than that, this is going to be the end of this video. I will let some mid-rolls play in a second so you can get more recommendations for other videos. But other than that, I hope you learned something, and I'm very glad that this video came out how it did. I was very nervous of using my voice at first, and I feel I've gotten a bit more used to it, so I hope to make more videos like this in the future. Yeah. Awesome.